Story 1. The Man in the Hollow Eyes. It happened on a Sunday night. The kind of night when the sky looks like ink and the wind whispers like it knows something you'd known. Jack was driving home from his sister's house in a small town in northern Maine. He'd stayed later than expected, helping her fix a leaking sink, and by the time he hit the road, it was well past 11 p.m. The drive was nothing new, just trees, silence, and the occasional flicker of a deer in the distance. Jack liked it. It gave him time to think. But that night, about 15 minutes into the ride, he saw a man walking alone by the edge of the road. Not just walking stumbling, like he'd been hit or drunk or something else. Jack slowed the car, instinctively leaning over his steering wheel. The man looked wrong, not in a bloody or overtly injured way, just wrong. He was tall and thin, wearing what looked like a long coat too big for him, sleeves hanging past his wrists. His head was slightly bowed, and even from the car, Jack could see that his eyes were ... vacant, hollow, the kind of look that makes your gut twist before your brain catches up. Against better judgment, Jack stopped and rolled down the window. "You okay, buddy?" The man didn't answer, didn't even look up. He just kept walking, straight past the car, slowly, dragging one foot slightly. Jack looked in the rearview mirror, but the man was gone. Just gone. No woods nearby, no place to hide. He put the car in reverse and backed up a few meters, headlights scanning the edge of the forest, but there was no one, not even footprints in the gravel. A chill ran down Jack's spine. He drove off, heart racing. Maybe he imagined it. Maybe it was just a guy who stepped off the road quickly. The mind plays tricks. That's what he told himself until he got home. He lives in a modest 2-story cabin surrounded by woods. Quiet, safe. When he got home, the house was dark, as expected. He locked the door behind him, kicked off his shoes, and headed to the kitchen for a glass of water. That's when he noticed it. On the living room floor, muddy footprints. One set, long, like someone with oversized feet had walked in from the back door. He froze. The back door was locked, had been locked all day. He checked it again, still locked, but the prints were unmistakable. They led from the door to the stairs. Jack grabbed a wrench from the toolbox he kept near the heater and slowly, silently, made his way up the stairs. Every creak felt like a gunshot in the silence. His bedroom door was slightly ajar. He'd left it closed. Always. He pushed it open with his foot, wrench raised, and saw nothing. Just his room, empty. The bed still made. The window locked. Nothing. No sign of anyone. Until he looked down. On the floor, right by the closet, was something wet. A small puddle of water and mud. And next to it, a single piece of torn fabric. A piece of a long black coat. He didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the living room, wrench in hand, waiting for a sound, a creak, a movement. But nothing came. The next morning, he checked the security cam he'd installed at the back door, just in case. Around 11:46 p.m., it recorded static for 7 full minutes. Then the feed returned. Nothing else. No person, no motion. Jack tried to explain it away. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe he imagined it all. But every few weeks, he'd find a new footprint in the hallway. Always the same pattern. Wet, muddy, slightly dragging the right foot. And always on Sunday nights. Story 2. The window that wasn't there. When Lily moved into her new apartment in Boston, she was thrilled. It was small but full of charm. Creaky wooden floors, old brick walls, a skylight above her bed. The building dated back to the 1880s and had been converted into studio apartments. Her unit was on the top floor, with no neighbors above, just the roof and the wind. The first week passed uneventfully. She unpacked, decorated, bought plants. The second week, she noticed something strange. She was brushing her teeth late one evening when she looked up and saw a window across from her bathroom mirror. It was faint, but unmistakably a window. The thing there was no window there. The wall directly opposite her mirror was just that, a wall. But in the reflection, there it was. A narrow window with an old-fashioned wooden frame, like something out of a Victorian house. She blinked, it vanished. She laughed it off, blamed the angle, the light. Shadows can do weird things. But then it came back, not every night, just some. Always around the same time, 2:33 A. Always in the mirror, the window, the faint glow of moonlight through it, and eventually the silhouette. At first, it was just a shape, blurry, upright, still. But over the next few nights, it got clearer. It was a man, pale, wearing a dark vest, sleeves rolled up. His eyes, hard to describe, like static, like frost. He never moved, just stood there, looking into the room, into her, but only in the mirror. Lily tried recording it with her phone. Nothing showed up. She invited her friend Claire to sleep over. At 2:33, they looked in the mirror together. Claire screamed. She saw it too. That changed everything. It wasn't just in Lily's head. They tore apart the bathroom wall the next day. Literally, hammered it open. Behind it, bricks. Solid, century-old bricks. No space, no hidden chamber, no window. Just a solid wall. That same night, the mirror cracked. Not shattered, just a long, jagged crack, running from top to bottom like a scar. The next day, Lily went to the local records office. She wanted to know more about the building. Who had lived there? Who might have died there? The woman at the desk pulled out an old blueprint. "You're in Unit 5C, right?" "Yeah," Lily replied. The woman frowned. That apartment used to be the attic. It wasn't converted until 1986. Before that, it was sealed off for decades. There was a report from 1952 about a man who lived in the building. Disappeared without a trace. Name was Samuel Winslow. He was last seen on the roof. Lily left with copies of the records. That night, she dreamed of him, Samuel, standing on the other side of the mirror, not trying to get out, trying to pull her in, his hands pressed against the glass, whispering her name over and over, muffled, garbled, wet. She moved out the next day, didn't pack, didn't wait for her lease to end. She just left. She threw the mirror in the dumpster outside, wrapped in a towel. 2 weeks later, she got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside, the cracked mirror, cleaned, wrapped, like it never left. But this time, there were two silhouettes in the reflection. Story 3. The Girl in the Drain. Tyler never believed in ghost stories, not even a little. He was a pragmatist, the kind of guy who scoffed at horror movies and rolled his eyes when people talked about energy in a room. So when he took a summer job with the local sanitation department in his hometown, he didn't think twice. It was just maintenance work, checking storm drains, unclogging pipes, basic infrastructure stuff. The worst thing he expected to find was a dead rat. Week 2 on the job, they were assigned to inspect a series of old storm drains on the outskirts of town. These weren't the newer concrete ones. They were brick-lined tunnels, built over 100 years ago. Most were partially collapsed, unused, forgotten. Tyler was paired with Frank, a grizzled guy who'd been doing this for 25 years and barely spoke. That morning, Frank handed Tyler a flashlight and pointed to a hatch. "Check Tunnel 9. The grate's loose." Tyler climbed down alone. The tunnel was musty and damp, the smell of mildew thick in the air. He walked about 40 feet before spotting the loose grate. As he bent down to inspect it, he heard it soft, echoing, a voice, singing a lullaby. high-pitched, barely audible, but unmistakably real. He froze. "Frank?" he shouted. No answer. The voice continued. Just 4 notes, over and over, like a broken music box. He turned, sweeping the flashlight down the tunnel. Empty, just darkness and water. "Hello?" He called again. Nothing. Then a whisper. "Come see." It came from the drain to his right, smaller, rusted. He stepped closer, the beam of his flashlight flickering slightly. Inside the drain, something moved. Hair, long, black, matted. And then, 2 eyes, wide, reflecting light, watching. The face of a girl, filthy, soaked, no older than 7. Just crouched in the dark, head tilted. She didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared. Tyler stumbled back, nearly dropping his flashlight. "Are you okay?" he shouted. "Do you need help?" No answer. He turned to run, but the tunnel had changed. It was longer, stretching deeper than before. He ran anyway. At the hatch, Frank was waiting. "You okay?" he asked, lighting a cigarette like nothing had happened. "There's a girl," Tyler panted. "In the drain. She's trapped. We need to get help." Frank's face hardened. "Where?" "Tunnel 9, right near the grate." Frank didn't move. "She was right there," Frank sighed. "Kid, I should have warned you. Every summer, someone sees her. Always the same story. Singing, drain, little girl. We've checked. There's nothing there. Never is." Tyler thought it was a joke, but Frank's face said otherwise. How do you explain?" Story 4, The Locked Room. Julia had always loved old houses. The charm, the creaky wood, the scent of history embedded in the walls. So when she found a century-old Victorian home at a ridiculously low price, she didn't hesitate. The agent told her it had belonged to the same family for generations, and had only recently gone up for sale after the last heir passed away. It needed some work, sure, but nothing major. Just cosmetic stuff. Julia moved in a week later. The house was beautiful in a haunting sort of way. Narrow hallways, stained glass windows, a grand staircase that curved like a question mark. But what intrigued her most was the locked door at the end of the upstairs hallway. It was the only room she didn't have a key for. "Oh, that?" the agent had said casually. "It's probably just a storage closet. No one's been in there in years." But Julia was curious, obsessively so. Every day she'd walk past it, her hand brushing the cool brass handle. She even tried picking the lock, but it wouldn't budge. As days passed, strange things began to happen. She'd hear soft tapping from behind the door at night, rhythmic, like someone knocking. Light bulbs flickered whenever she stood too close to the room. One night, she placed a glass of water on the floor right outside the door. In the morning, it was gone. No spill, just gone. Then came the smell, faint, like rotting flowers. Not strong enough to be disgusting, just wrong. She called a locksmith. The guy came over, looked at the door, and immediately went pale. "You want this opened?" "Yes," Julia said. "Can you do it?" "Yeah," he muttered. "But I've worked on this house before. Years ago. That room's bad news." She didn't ask questions. She just watched as he picked the lock. When the door finally creaked open, it revealed nothing, just a small room. Dusty, empty, dim, faded wallpaper peeled at the corners. A broken rocking chair sat in the corner. Julia stepped inside. The air was cold, heavier than in the rest of the house. She felt pressure in her chest, like something pressing against her ribs. She backed out and thanked the locksmith, who didn't charge her. Sighed he never wanted to come back. That night, she had a nightmare. In it, she stood in the locked room, unable to move. A man stood behind her, tall, thin, wearing a wide-brimmed hat. His face was obscured, but his mouth was huge, far too wide. He whispered into her ear, but the words were garbled, like static. When she woke up, her ears were ringing. Over the next few days, things got worse. She'd find scratches on the inside of the door, as if someone or something was trying to get out. The broken rocking chair would be facing a different direction each time she entered. And once, she found a small pile of teeth on the floor. Human, still slightly bloodied. That was the night she called the previous owner's niece, the woman who had inherited the house before selling it. "I need to ask about the room upstairs," Julia said. Silence on the other end. Then the woman spoke. "You opened it?" "Yes. Why?" A long pause. "We were never supposed to. That room belonged to my uncle. He went missing in 1978. They searched everywhere, but never opened that door. My grandmother forbade it. She said the house chose him." Julia didn't know what that meant, but that night she locked the room again, taped the door shut, pushed furniture in front of it. Still, the tapping returned, louder, desperate. She moved out a week later, left everything behind. The house was sold again the next year, and when the new owner called to ask her if she had a key for a certain upstairs door, she hung up